Hey Lauren, I am so glad that you're joining us today for our webinar.
Thanks, Kelsey. Same here.
So I want to welcome everyone to another SEJ Marketing Think Tank webinar. Today we're going to be talking with Loren, who is SEJ's founder, about how to build links using content marketing and blogger outreach. My name is Kelsey Jones. I'm the Executive Editor of Search Engine Journal, and I'm going to be moderating today. Right now I'm going to let Loren do a quick introduction of himself, and then I'm going to jump into some housekeeping. So Loren, do you just want to give a quick introduction?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Loren Baker. Like Kelsey said, I'm the founder of SEJ. Started SEJ about 12 years ago as a blog to cover the search industry, and I'm also a digital marketer with a focus on SEO, content marketing, and social media. So it's great to be here.
Awesome. While I'm going over housekeeping, Loren, could you make the slides full screen for us? So we can see.
Absolutely.
So while Loren's doing that, I just want to give a quick overview. If during the webinar, if you have any questions, comments, experiences, feel free to use the questions tab or look at the chat window in GoToWebinar. And then also, we'd love it if you would live tweet or ask questions with us on Twitter with the hashtag SEJThinktank, or on Facebook or anything else. Our lovely social producer, Caitlin, will be monitoring that. We are also going to be asking 2 poll questions throughout the webinar. So you'll be able to participate, give your input, and that's going to help Loren shape this presentation for us to make it the most useful as possible. We're also going to have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. So like I said, ask questions throughout, and then at the end we will be deciding on which questions to ask Loren. And if we run out of time, we'll still try to answer the questions that you had during the webinar on Twitter, again with the hashtag SEJThinktank. And lastly, this entire webinar is going to be recorded, and it's going to be made available on YouTube. Loren's slides will also be available on SlideShare. There's going to be a recap post as well on Search Engine Journal. Usually it's so Thursday or Friday after the webinar within the next 48 hours. So without any further delay, Loren, let's talk about content marketing and blogger outreach.
Yeah, let's get into content marketing, blogger outreach, and link building. So thanks again, Kelsey. Here's a quick intro. Like I said, I've been involved with about all things digital marketing for the past 15 years or so. My agency is Foundation Digital. I founded Search Engine Journal and still advise and do webinars and things like that, along with advise Alpha Brand Media, the parent company of SEJ. And on top of that, I also contribute to a lot of different publications, and some of the clients that we work with at Foundation are on the right as well. And I'll have a case study from one of these special clients at the end of this presentation. So what am I going to talk about today? Well, you know, there's link building, there's content marketing, and there's outreach, right? And they all work together hand in hand to really build more authority signals to your website. So, you know, a lot of people say, you hear the word link building a lot in SEO, but if you take some of the results of link building and show them to folks outside of SEO, they'll call it brand building or content marketing. So that's why I kind of crossed out the link thing there. But basically, link building is as marketing and influence, and not necessarily trying to gain links. Also, I'll be going over a lot of the different tools that I use, some of my favorites, how I use them to pull data that helps me not only get a grasp of kind of the search environment or whether I can compete or not, but also ideate and build content cases around that. Like, content marketing is not trying to take a square peg and fit it into a round hole, right? So when we're putting together an idea for content marketing, we really want it to work and want people to kind of grasp onto it. We really want to craft it so it's perfect for the kinds of sites and targets that we reach out to. So by really pulling this data, it gives us proof, which helps us not only put together the best ideas and content to try to get influencers, other bloggers, and sites to link to and share, but also helps to build internal business cases to get it approved by clients or, you know, internally. I'll then get into finding outreach targets, both using a lot of the tools that I go over, And it's just some basic ways to do so as well. And then last but not least, a case study on putting this all together and seeing it work. So first point, link building is not manipulation. And if it's not manipulation to get ranks, what is it? Well, it's really building authority signals, building brand influence, and the positioning of your company in the Google quote-unquote marketplace. And at the end of the day, links are really a byproduct of great marketing. So if you're a great marketer, if you're a company that's putting out real stuff and publishing real stuff and having and you have real things on your site that are worth linking to, you're going to get links. If you're thinking about it from an old school perspective of trying to build links just to get them, that's not really going to work anymore. And like I said, link building supports great content, and a lot of the times a great piece of content that has links pointing to it doesn't only affect the piece of content itself in the rankings, but also the site as a whole. So what's not link building? Article distribution sites, it's not link building. Guest blogging networks. Guest blogging is fine. I love guest blogging. I do it all the time. I like to contribute to sites that make sense and get me and my personal brand and even my agency in front of people that where it should be in front of. That's fine. Guest blogging networks, multiple hundreds of blogs that just run off of guest blogging and article distribution, not so good. Link wheels, not link building. Link wheels are basically artificial link building. Private blog networks, mass link swapping, link injections. I don't consider any of that link building. I don't do it. Some people do, but I'm not going to go over any of that today. So if we don't do any of that stuff, how do we build links? Well, the first step with building links is really, like I said, it's developing something that people are going to want to link to on your site. And that's really where content marketing comes into play, because content marketing helps you produce content that's hosted on other sites, as well as put together great content on your own site that attracts users and links. So if you're going to embark on a link building campaign, I would not suggest trying to get links to pages like product listings or product categories or even boring press releases about nothing or about pages on your site. These are typically the types of things that people would not naturally link to. Yet sometimes, I'm sure many of you are bloggers or publishers on your own right, and you get emails saying, hey, I really love your blog. We just released this new product. Will you link to it? No, I'm not going to, because product listings typically do not get natural links. But what kind of content does get natural links? Well, really, you have to develop what I like to call a link magnet on your website. If your website is, let's take e-commerce, for example. If it's specifically categories, product listings, stuff to buy, whatever, you really don't have anything going for you, right? So things I like to think of as link magnets are blogs, resource centers, image galleries, areas with reviews, comparisons between your brand and others. In the B2B world specifically, white papers or ebooks. That also works in regular consumer-based products. And of course, infographics. So point being is that think of all of the retailers that have really made a difference online. Patagonia was really one of the first to do this. They're an outdoor clothing brand, and they're also a responsible outdoor clothing brand, so they make sure that they don't tear down trees and stuff like that to make the clothes. But when they first launched years ago, half of their site was content-based in terms of guides, maps, contributed stories about outdoor adventure, things like that, and the other half was product-based, buy. Over the years, many other retailers have adopted the same technique. One that comes to mind is also REI in a very similar space, but a lot of REI's site is more so buyer's guides, adventure guides, guides to different locations to go to. So they're really tapping into the lifestyle of the user and their target customer or persona and putting great content on that site that those people are going to be interested in. So if you're not doing that, start now. Like launch a WordPress blog today or tonight, or right after you watch this webinar. and really start producing content that works for your user base. So let's start with the first poll.
Sorry, having microphone issues.
Okay.
Okay, let's do the first poll. So poll 1, what is your biggest linking/content marketing challenge? So I'm going to launch the poll right now. If you guys could answer, that'd be great. So the possible options for answers we have are getting links to my content, developing content that people share, I don't have time to link build, or I don't have any challenges when it comes to linking and content marketing. So we have about 43%. We usually try to get it up to 80, 85, just so we can kind of get a good eye on what the majority of the audience is looking for and what their biggest challenges are. So let's go for maybe 15 more seconds. We're at 70% answered. You know, it's hard to find a challenge. You know, some people have more than one challenge, but just pick your biggest one. Okay, let's close this here. So it looks like the majority, 53%, their biggest challenge is developing content that people actually share. And then secondly, which I think goes hand in hand, is getting links to content. So super interesting.
Yeah, this is really great. And this goes back to the trying to fit the square peg in the round hole type scenario. You really want to make sure that you are sharing producing the type of content that people will share. Kels, is the screen, are the slides on again?
I do not see your slides. I just see your beautiful face. I don't know where they went.
Okay, one moment, folks. Technical difficulties. You're seeing them now?
Mm-mm. If it won't work, I could possibly load it on my screen.
I'm just going to try slideshow again. Are you seeing them now?
I do not. Let me check the chat screen and see. Yeah, everyone else is saying don't see.
Strange. For some
Sorry,
reason,
guys.
Yeah, 1 moment. For some reason, they minimized during the poll, and then they didn't come back. Let me cancel the slideshow. It's kind of stuck. Do you want me to transfer over to you?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's see. Okay. Thanks, guys, for sticking with us here.
Yeah, sorry about that, everyone.
Do you see the full view?
I do, yes.
Just the slide? Okay. Hopefully that will work. Danielle, let me know if you don't see it on my phone. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. And if I don't move fast enough, you'll just have to tell me.
Okay, so that's great to hear that a lot of folks, your challenges are developing content that people will share or that will attract links. What I'm going to get into now is a lot of my favorite tools that I utilize to kind of build cases and ideation around the content that people will share and build links and pull proof on that. Let's go. Okay, so here are some of the tools I'm going to talk about today. First of all, Google. As some of you will notice, that is the current Google logo that was just launched yesterday, which is proof that this is a very recent presentation. Also, SEMRush, one of my favorites, may be referred to some folks outside of the U.S. as SEMRush, but I'll refer to it as SEMRush for most of this. Majestic, which is a great tool for pulling backlinks. BuzzSumo and Shared Count. They're kind of very similar tools. Shared Count is more so heavy on the data side and quote-unquote free, whereas BuzzSumo is a paid tool for pulling social data and influencer data, as well as BuzzStream, which is predominantly a PR or blogger outreach tool that helps, it really helps you scale outreach. So let's go to the next slide, Kels. Okay, so let's start with a scenario. Say, for example, you are a hotel or a travel company, and you're looking to rank in the Vegas area or to attract users or potential customers that are planning a trip to Las Vegas, predominantly families. So this is something I was working on last year, and I thought it was a very interesting stat, and I bring it up all the time, especially when I attend a conference in Vegas. In 2012, 11% of the people that went to Vegas were families, meaning that they brought kids with them. And that was up 150% in the past 10 years. So for this type of, for a travel site that's looking to attract families going to Vegas, it's a really interesting stat. Basically, that backs up the whole, like, Vegas is becoming the Disneyland, not only for adults, but also for kids. So we're going to look into a scenario with building a piece of content around this theme, and then also look into some others. So the first tool I want to talk about is Google. For those of you that haven't heard of Google, it's the world's most popular search engine and gives a lot of free data. So let's go to the next slide, please, Kelsey. So Google Search Suggest is a great way to really identify what people are searching for. If you go into Google and you start searching some queries around the topic matter that you're planning on doing your content around, Google is just going to really, serve that to you as the end user. So here are some examples of some of the queries that I put into Google to get some information for my content marketing. Best places for kids in Las Vegas. And as you see, Google is suggesting multiple different popular queries. Best places for toddlers in Vegas, best places to take toddlers, best places for a baby shower in Vegas. Same thing when I had clicked on best places for toddlers in Vegas, I noticed a lot of the results were aquarium based. So then I went into Google and I started searching for aquariums in Las Vegas, and then things for kids to do in Las Vegas. And as you see, especially in the last result, first of all, it's really cool that Google is serving this to me without me having to type in the word Las Vegas, because I searched previously and they know I was looking for destinations and things to do in Vegas. So when I typed in the words things for, Google started serving things for kids to do, things for teens to do, things for families to do, and these are all really popular queries that a normal person would use, and you can utilize these queries and make sure to utilize the subject matter in your content planning. Next slide, please, Kelsey. Also, as you noticed with the first query that I did, things for toddlers to do in Vegas and toddler-friendly hotels in Vegas, Google started serving a lot of different, I noticed that Google started serving content, right? Stories that are written on sites like about.com or even Manytime, but not necessarily hotels. So what I see here is an opportunity for bloggers and site owners, publishers to compete in the listings, but also these are potential targets for outreach that I'm going to want to look at in the future, because what I see, if I'm a hotel, right? If I'm Caesar's Palace and I do an article on my Caesar's Palace blog about family-friendly hotels or family attractions in Vegas, that might get a lot of links to it, but Google may not share it because they're focusing primarily on informational results here and not necessarily transaction results. So there's a chance that I may not ever be able to get my hotel site to rank for this query, but I can reach out to blogs like this. Next slide, please. Also, if you scroll down to the bottom of the search results, you'll see that Google helps you again with lots of data and tells you the most popular searches that are related to a search term. So you can go down to the bottom of the Google results and you see it's basically writing content and writing titles for us. Top 10 things for kids to do in Las Vegas, shows for kids in Vegas, Circus Las Vegas, things for kids to do in Las Vegas free. So free things for kids to do in Las Vegas. Like, this is all topical matter that we know, that Google is telling us that people are searching for and finding. So if we produce content that supports this, chances are we're going to be able to rank, and since people are looking for it, it's going to help the publications that we reach out to. It's going to help us make a case to them that this is popular content that people are looking for. I'll get into that in a moment too. Next slide, please. And again, as you dig down the results, what I found was a lot of the results are more so like smaller blog oriented, travel blogs, family blogs, and even YouTube videos. So again, Google for these types of queries is serving the type of content that we want to produce. Very simple. It's not serving listings of hotels or listings of aquariums, but it's serving bloggers that are putting that information out there. So let's dig deeper into this content and to these results to help us build our content strategy. Next slide, please. SEMRush is a tool I really love because not only does it give you a chance to track rankings and links and suites and everything else, but it also really consolidates a lot of search behavior into one simple dashboard. So here's an example of me taking that same query, or more so a very simplified version of that query, and plugging it in SEMRush. You'll see at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a phrase match report. This phrase match report basically shows us similar queries that people are searching for in Google and their search volume. So things to do in Vegas with kids, things to do in Las Vegas with kids, yada, yada, yada. But then on the right side, you also see related keywords, which are very similar, but again, these are all the types of terms. These are very generic, by the way. I search for Vegas with kids, but these are types of terms that you're going to want to integrate into your overall marketing plan. And it also gives you an idea of the volume of what people are searching for, which can help you build that case that you're going to get traffic to your site from this content. Next slide, please. So here's the examples when I dug down deeper into SEMRush for another very generic term like Vegas aquariums. Remember, we saw that Google was suggesting that aquariums were one thing that were very popular to take kids to, so I did the same thing, and SEMRush starts telling me that people are searching Google and other search engines for terms like Shark Reef Aquarium, Shark Reef at Mandalay Bay, Silverton Aquarium. So let's pretend that we're writing a blog post about this. Aquariums for families to visit in Las Vegas. Well, SEMRush is kind of doing our research for us, because if you think about it, this is an outline for a blog post. Aquariums in Vegas, top aquariums in Vegas, visit the Shark Reef. So H2, headline Shark Reef Aquarium, visit the Silverton Aquarium, visit other free aquariums in Vegas. Like, it's putting together this content for us, showing us what people are looking for, so we can put together the type of content that's going to rank and satisfy those search queries. Next slide, please. So, like I said, let's take this data and put it into ideas. We know the type of content that Google is serving for these queries. It's serving informational content, not hotel listings. The sites themselves, the particular sites that we can possibly reach out to in the future. The relevant content matter, or topic matter, that people are searching for. So we learned that when people are searching for places to take kids, Google is serving aquarium type information. And then also how Google is classifying that content, that topic matter, whether they're blog posts or YouTube videos or whatever. So like I said, here's an ideation outline that we can start with writing content around. Things kids love in Vegas. Kids love aquariums. So here's 4 basic ideas. Top 10, top 5, best kids destinations, yada, yada, yada. And then on the next slide, you'll see that you take those ideas and you put them into what you're going to develop from a content perspective. So let's say I develop an infographic called Las Vegas, the new Disneyland for families. and I host that on my site. I host that on Caesar's Palace, right, or whatever. And then from there, I can put together different supportive content. Maybe I'll put together a listicle, an article of lists, top 10 aquariums in Vegas. Maybe a blog post, top 5 kids attractions in Vegas kids know about. That blog post I can host on my blog, or I can reach out to one of the sites that I'm going to identify later to place that post. Same thing with best kids destinations. So the point here is, when you're developing the content strategy that you want to use to acquire links to, make sure that that content has the ability to rank. It's what people are looking for, and it's what publishers are looking for and getting traffic from. Because that way you know that there's a higher probability that people are going to accept your content, they're going to link to you, and then at the end of the day, you're going to actually rank. What we would not want to do is build a bunch of links to a piece of content that has no chance of ranking because Google's not even serving that type of site in the results. Next slide. And then at the end of the day, you take all of that data, you crunch it together, and you put together, like I said, infographics or blog posts that you can use to, on the left, maybe host on your own site, or on the right, reach out to influencers about like CNET or Huffington Post or others, which you know are going to attract links. And when those larger sites cover you and link back to you, chances are smaller sites link to them and then push that juice back up to you. Next slide, please, Kelsey. So we did our research. We found out that how Google serves results with the topic matter that we're looking to rank for. We have ideas on what we're going to write about and what we're going to produce. The next step is really trying to figure out the kind of sites that we're going to reach out to. Next slide. And the best way to do that, again, is using some of the tools that I went over earlier to find that information. Next slide, please. So let's go back to SEMRush and Google. Now, if you're embarking on an outreach campaign and you have your piece of content that's around Vegas aquariums, the first thing that may come to your head is like, search for top 10 Vegas aquariums or Vegas travel sites, and then reach out to the sites that Google serves. Well, that's fine and well, but the fact is that almost everyone is reaching out to those same sites to get links. And it's going to be a little bit harder to get a link from a site like Time Magazine or MandalayBay.com to your blog post than it is possibly some others. So one of the first steps I like to do is look at what's ranking in Google, what Google is serving. And I can do this utilizing SEMRush. Put in a query. It gives you a list of sites, and then export that into an Excel file. Then, next slide, please. I like to take that same list and go over to Majestic. So Majestic bulk backlinks tool. So basically, you export the top ranking sites that you find in Google, and I use SEMRush to find those because I can export it into an Excel sheet, and I upload that into Majestic. I upload that list into Majestic. Next slide, please. Then Majestic SEO is going to basically list all of those sites, up to 300 at a time, that I put into its bulk backlinks tool, and give me all kinds of information about them. Its topical trust flow, the trust flow and citation flow, which are its flow metrics. By that it means like how trustworthy is the site or how authoritative is the site. And then also the types of backlinks that are the number of backlinks that are pointing back to those specific pages, right? So I see just from this list that Mandalay Bay Shark Reef page has over 1,000 backlinks to it. That's really interesting to me because I want to find out who's linking to Mandalay Bay's Shark Reef Aquarium page and possibly reach out to them. If I can't get the link from MandalayBay.com, I'm going to try to get the link from the influencers that are pushing up the Mandalay Bay page as well. So this is a great way to get a grasp of the different types of sites that are ranking, but also who is linking to them. Okay, so another thing I can do is I can also go to a tool that I like for identifying social influencers called BuzzSumo, and I can put in those same queries that I put into SEMRush earlier to find sites that rank, and I can find sites, the author of the sites, the articles that they wrote, and sort by infographic or article or news to not only get an idea of who the person is that's writing about that topic matter and the amount of social shares they've received, but also the type of content that they've published, right? So if I see that someone is publishing content that has infographics in it, they're publishing infographics on their site, chances are if I've developed an infographic and I reach out to them, they may respond and host my infographic on their site and link back to me. Next slide, please. Also, great tip, going back to Google and their brand new logo, one very easy tip I like to do is go to Google News and search for the word infographics or the word blog posts or whatever. But I know if I'm developing an infographic about travel and I go to Google News and I search for travel infographics, look at all of these writers and all of these different sites that are showing up for this simple term. I know that I can reach out to someone at Tourism Review because they have embedded infographics about travel in the past. Daily Mail, there's someone there. Hospitality.net, someone there I can reach out to. Entrepreneur, even space.com. All of these great sites that are indexed and being served in Google News have journalists or bloggers that have picked up infographics and linked back to other sites. So hey, that's going to be in my list of people to reach out to as well. Next slide, please. And we can go out and we can look for the types of sites to reach out to, but kind of branching off of that Google News query, I also like to look into what our competitors are doing and how they're doing it and who's covering them. So let's get into that a little bit with the same tool sets. Okay, so let's say I see that this site called Travel Math did a really good infographic, interactive infographic. It got picked up by a lot of different places. And let's say I'm doing something similar. Well, you know, I want to see where they got picked up because I may want to email some of those same bloggers about my piece. It's not the same, but it's kind of in the same genre. So let's look into Travel Math and how they got links back to fictional travel times. So going back to Majestic, what I do here is I look for the backlinks to Travel Math's page that has its infographic and information on it. And what I see here is that a lot of different really good sites picked it up, right? Now, of course, I want to reach out to space.com. I'd love a link back from space.com. I'd love a link back from Fast Company. I'm not sure if that's going to happen 100%, so we're going to include those in our outreach plan, but let's look a little bit deeper. Next slide, please. So I'm going to take that same list, and in the same way that I pulled those bulk backlinks previously for the pages that were listed in Google, I'm going to pull them in Majestic too, right? So I'm going to pull a backlink for space.com, and what I see from that is that one link on space.com itself has 189 links pointing to it. What that shows me is that if I get something on space.com, I'm going to get a lot of other probably space, science fiction bloggers are going to pick that up, link to the space.com post, and probably link back to my site. So if I'm reaching out to different publishers, I'm going to try to hit them up first because I know they're really good. They pick up content that's very similar to mine, and if I can get that one piece on there, it could explode to multiple links pointing back to me, multiple authoritative links pointing back to me, right? So hey, what better way to get a lot of work done than working smartly and reaching out to the one publisher that's going to end up bringing back hundreds of links. Next slide, please. Another thing I really like to look at, and this is very similar to BuzzSumo, except for it's free, is a shared count. And I know a lot of, usually when we do a webinar here on the SEJ Think Tank, one of the first questions is, hey, you know, what are some of the more affordable tools out there? Well, this is one of them. With shared count, all you have to do is sign up to their newsletter, and you get to, I think, pull about 300 links per day. So what you can do is You can pull your backlinks to, I pulled the backlinks to Travel Math, right? And I uploaded them. I did a bulk upload into sharedcount.com. And what that did was it gave me the information on the Facebook shares, comments, tweets for all of these articles. So again, I see that if I get this on space.com, well, it's going to result in probably something similar in terms of thousands of likes, thousands of shares. And when people share content socially, you get links back from that, because when they share it, they're getting it in front of other influencers. So someone from space.com, someone may share space.com's content, and that gets in front of another space blogger who may pick it up. Next slide, please. So here's a recap on all the tools that I like to utilize when I'm pulling data to make a case for outreach and developing content. 1, Google and their new logo. 2, SEMRush. It's great for quantifying that data or quantifying those queries that you see in Google. Oh, sorry, could you go back?
Sorry.
That's okay. And also exporting that information into an Excel sheet that you can utilize with other tools like BuzzSumo. 3, Majestic, because you can run backlink checks and bulk backlinks. And then 4, shared count. You can also export all of the shared count data into Excel. And I'm not a data nerd myself, but it's really nice to have that in something that can be passed around and added to. Okay, next slide. So let's get a little bit deeper into working with publishers and how to reach out to them, and then we're going to have our case study. One last and final tool I like to utilize is called BuzzStream. Now, BuzzStream is used to basically find and manage relationships with influencers and also scale outreach. One tip I have about BuzzStream is they offer templates that you can utilize to send the same email out to multiple bloggers, personalized emails. I would use that sparingly. What I would utilize BuzzStream for is finding influencers and stalking them. So as you see,
like you're stalking me right now on this slide.
Yeah, I spend about most of my free time stalking Kelsey online, see what she's up to. And I can utilize BuzzStream to get her contact information, her Twitter information, the different sites that she contributes to, and stuff like that, and store her as an influencer that I want to follow. I can read Kelsey's tweets. So if she's tweeting about, going out to happy hour or something like that, I know not to email her a pitch request between 5 and 7. I'll probably email her a pitch request around 8 when she gets home from happy hour, because she might be more likely to respond positively. And
maybe.
Also you can research different sites to reach out to via BuzzStream, and it does a pretty good job of finding the social accounts and even emails of some of the editors or bloggers at sites. What I would say is you'll see in this example from Blaster, one thing I notice here is that it's a personal Twitter account and then it's an editor at email. I really like to develop relationships with the writers themselves or the editor themselves. So if I want to hit up someone like Kelsey, I probably wouldn't just write to info@Search Engine Journal or editor@Search Engine Journal. I try to find out her personal information, or at least personalized work information, to hit her up in a more personal manner. Because then you can say something like, hey, I read this article on SEJ the other day, and I really wanted to add to this conversation. Can I contribute this blog post to do so? And writing those personalized messages gets a much better response. All right, so that's BuzzStream. Next slide, please. So we can go through this really quickly, but it's basically your connections that you have with influencers are something you should cherish and not abuse. So again, do not send mass emails. Get to know the person. Target the right publishers. There's no benefit in emailing 1,000 people that are never going to reply to you or share your content. Next slide. And also, you can also, say, if I start contributing to SEJ, I might hit up Kelsey and be like, hey, Kelsey, my company's putting together this infographic about, search marketing trends or leading up to the holidays. Would it be something that SEJ would be interested in partnering with me on? Perhaps we can do a co-branded piece. Like, that's really what you want to get these relationships to, because again, if you do your research and you pull the data, you can put together the type of content that's going to be extremely valuable to publishers, right? And I hope that most of the steps that I went through along this way will help to prove that. And we're going to go through a really quick case study and then open things up for Q&A. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, but before we do that, we're going to have our second poll.
Okay, so since I'm presenter, you'll have to launch the poll on your end, and then I can read it for you. We're each other's hands for this, I guess.
Actually, Kels, the poll is not showing up in my control panel.
Maybe Danielle could do it? Yes.
There we go.
Thank you. So our last poll question is, how do you build links? So if you could select one of the following. We have an agency that builds links for us. We do it internally. We don't build links at all. Or links, what are they? So I can't see what percentage we're at, but hopefully if you guys could all just answer, that'd be great.
Give it a couple seconds.
Yes.
And stick around for the case study, folks. It's going to be awesome to see all this work together.
Yes, and don't forget you can continue to ask questions in the question box or tweet with us with the hashtag SEJ Thinktank. Loren's Twitter is also at Loren Baker. If you have any questions you want to ask him later as well. Okay, I think, yeah, if we could close that. And can we see the results? Thank you. So the top answer, which this is good, and I'm kind of surprised, 71% said we do it internally. I thought that there'd be a little bit more people answering that they have an agency do it, but that's only 16%. So interesting.
That's great.
All right.
Let's also a trend I've seen over the few years is internal digital teams growing.
Yeah, that's good though, because I always tell my clients that you have the best view of your company. So when you're, in the office, on the ground, actually working with other departments, you're usually the best candidate for looking for good content and link building opportunities. Or working with others that get to know your company really well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the case study. Let's see, there we go. Can you see the slides?
No, I can't see the slides.
Really? Because,
yeah.
Jeez, okay. Hold on. Okay, now?
No, it looks like you may have had the same issue that I had. So since we're at the...
oh my gosh.
We can't show the case study. And we're almost at the 45-minute mark. We'll go ahead and open things up to Q&A, and then what we'll do is we'll send the case study a link on SlideShare and with the case study for everyone to see.
Okay. So, sorry about that, guys. I can see it on my screen. I don't know why it's not showing. So, luckily, Danielle has sent me questions for us. And before we get to the questions, I wanted to mention our next webinar, which is Thursday, September 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's with Daniel Morrison of AimClear, and it's 3 red-hot social marketing hacks to crush it in 2015. So Danielle's going to give you guys the link to sign up in the chat box if you guys want to sign up. Should be really good. Daniel's a really good speaker, so looking forward to that. So that being said, let's move to questions. So Beth wants to know, would you consider recipes to be a good link? Say a food brand with recipes.
It matters on the recipe. If it's a recipe for French onion dip that is, Lipton onion soup packs and sour cream, there's probably about 1 million different recipes for French onion dip out there on the web right now. If you're looking to target specific groups or genres like, gluten-free or Mexican food recipes, or people that are dieting, or recipes for weightlifters to add more protein or something that has a twist to it, then yes. But before you do so, say you're putting together recipes for, say you work for Velveeta, right? And you're going out there, and before you want to do your queso dip recipe, look and see what else is out there, because recipes are a very, in terms of duplicate content, there's a lot of that going on with recipes, just because it's so easy to copy and paste and share and everything else. So make sure that you're not entering into an overpopulated area. And then also the great thing is, if you're doing gluten-free recipes, or if you're doing vegan recipes, or if you're doing high-protein recipes for weightlifters or something like that, diabetic-friendly recipes, then those are groups that you can reach out to get those links back and provide content, maybe even to their blog to do so. So, if I have a site and I'm doing diabetic-friendly, dessert recipes or something like that, then I might want to reach out to various different, diabetic associations or organizations or whatever to ask them to cover that and get a link back from them.
Yeah, I've also seen some companies, they do a blogger outreach program where they let food bloggers create new recipes using their products. So they'll say, if it was a drink company or, a vodka company, let's say, you could say, well, let's create a fun summer drink that uses our vodka. And that's a cool way to create unique recipes using your specific product as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to butcher this name. Montserrat, I'm sorry. If our ebook and other downloadable content are gated, do we need to offer links to this content somewhere else so that people can link to and directly download it without giving us their email address?
So in terms of ebooks or similar white papers or content that's behind a gate, there's a couple ways to approach that. One, I've worked with a lot of different companies and B2B and marketing / sales funnel type companies that have put together huge guides and ebooks that are 80 pages long, but they're behind the lead gate, right? But however, within one ebook, you probably have about, say, if it's 80 pages, we're really talking about 40 blog posts that can probably be put together from that content. You can use some highlights of data and different studies to put together press releases around that data. And if it's your own proprietary data or study, that's press release worthy because you're the source, right? So on top of that, you can also utilize that data for infographics, blog posts, put together e-cards or infograms that you can share via your social media accounts, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, to not only get back links and put together shareable content that other publishers can utilize and link back to you, but it's shareable content, so people are also sharing it on social media as well. So really take that ebook, and while you're designing the ebook, while you're putting together your outline for that, look at the different parts of the ebook that you can utilize to make that kind of quote-unquote micro content that you can put out there and make it more shareable. Another technique that I see a lot of companies doing, and I think digitalmarketer.com is one that does this a lot, is they'll do an ebook that is behind a gate or maybe paid, but then they'll release, but before they release that, they'll release an ebook that is more or less free or is at a very low price point that is indexable and people can read and people can promote. So what you might want to do is do a two-part type series of something that is readable, get people into that. Once they get to the end of it, the poll question is popping up left and right, just to let everyone know.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Thanks for putting over our technical difficulties today, by the way. And then have that be a bridge or a conduit into your larger ebook behind a lead gate.
Awesome. Yeah, good question and good answer. All right, so Michael would like to know, is it okay to mix what you mentioned that REI and Patagonia do within one same blog post? So providing a story or resource plus prompting people to buy.
I think it really matters on your I think it really matters on your industry, right? So if you're putting together, if you are, say, a tool company or a data company or have a B2B service, and you're putting together a study that supports buying a book or signing up as a member or whatever, it may make sense. If you're in the B2C world, I would say no for a couple of reasons. One, if you're pitching something in what appears to be or what should be a resourceful piece of content, people are not going to share it. They're going to see it as a pitch. And if you're hosting that content on a blog, there's multiple ways to get in your transactional information within that blog experience that doesn't look like a pitch. It doesn't feel like a pitch. One way is to feature relevant products in your sidebar or underneath the blog post that are relevant to that piece of content itself. In the case study I was going to show everyone, we put together a very resourceful piece. It's a how-to about distressing your jeans or styling your jeans. And within that piece, there were links back to product pages about some of the material that we were talking about and tools that we were talking about. I think that's fine because not only is that helping you possibly convert that reader into a customer, but also it helps from a search value because I can attract a bunch of links back to a blog post, and then if I put in links from that post to transactional areas of my site, then that's very natural, and it helps kind of funnel that link juice to those money pages so that I want to rank, so to speak. But yeah, I wouldn't mix the two unless it really makes sense in your industry. But what I would do is be subtle with links in the piece, and then also maybe integrating some products within that blog reading or resource reading experience.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it makes sense, if it's natural and you think that linking to your own products and services is helpful to the reader, then it just flows more naturally, for sure. Okay, we have a lot of questions, so thanks guys for bearing with us and giving us some great questions. So the next one is from Harrison, which is also my husband's name. I love the idea of using fun and interesting content for blogs and articles, e.g. REI. So this is a question, Loren, that I get a lot as well. How do you suggest an HVAC company or say a window installation company compete in that domain? So a lot of people don't have, a love for HVAC supplies or, specifics.
Actually, I love window installation and everything about window installation because one of the first companies I ever worked with was a window installation company, and we had the same challenge, and I'll tell you a story. So I had that same question come to me from my client because back in the day I had proposed doing a blog about window installations, and they also did gutters and they did siding and stuff like that. And when I went to my client with this proposal, like, hey, we're going to build a blog on your site, make it very resourceful, put together the type of content that people are looking for. You'll probably get traffic to it. It'll help you get links, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, well, who's going to write this engaging content about windows and gutters? We don't have anyone here that can do it. And we're not really sure if you guys can keep it up over time. So this client was also the same person who would call me every day and talk about everything going on in the world of gutters and windows and yada, yada, yada. So one day I took on the call while he was telling me the story about someone that fell off their roof when they were cleaning up their gutter or hanging Christmas lights. I wrote down all the notes and sent it over to a writer, and we put together a great post on how to avoid roof injuries during the holidays. And some of the main points were, people fall off their roof when they're cleaning out their gutter in the spring. People fall off the roof when they're cleaning up their gutter in the fall. People fall off the roof when they're hanging Christmas lights from their gutter. And if you have new gutters, you don't have that problem that you have to clean them. Another thing too let's get out of the gutter a little bit. And another thing too is you know, with window installation, there's all different types of windows. There's double pane window, triple pane, UV cutting windows. So you can talk about like the effect of UV rays on your furniture or on your carpet, and how you save money by you know, not running the AC as much because your windows are keeping in the cool, and they're also keeping in the heat during the winter, so you're not heating your house as much. So that there's different ways that you can go there. If you want to go really far, look at what Blendtec's done. I mean, they took something as boring as a blender and turned it into a social media phenomenon by blending iPhones and having contests on what to blend. So there's various ways that you can take a boring product and make it amazing.
Yeah, another thing I tell clients too is if it's a quote-unquote boring industry, think about what their target market is interested in. So for instance, going back to the window example, you know, if I'm looking to get new windows, then that probably means number one, I'm a homeowner, and number two, I'm interested in not only, you know, the economical savings that come with, you know, greener windows, but then also decorating my home. So maybe you could do some content on window treatments, the effect that new windows make just on the appearance of your house. One of my friends just got all new windows in her house and didn't even add anything, but just because they were updated, it just made a huge difference. So, you know, things that naturally that target audience is interested in also makes for good, relatable content as well.
And if I can get back in the gutter for a second, one of the things was the gutter company, they were similar to gutter guards, right? So it kept leaves and debris from getting into your gutters. And the one thing they targeted with their traditional sales team was they targeted neighborhoods that had lots of trees and then had pools, because lots of trees meant lots of leaves, and if you had pools, it means that you're cleaning leaves, and cleaning leaves is always in the top of mind. So you can break that out from a persona standpoint. You know, you can write about trees in the yard, take care of trees, like people that are into yard work, people that are into whatever. So it all can be brought together.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, we have one question I can answer. So are the tools mentioned, SEMRush and BuzzSumo, paid? Yes, but I believe they both have trial versions you can use. Correct?
They do. And shared count is free. It's a tool I really like as well. And Majestic also has a trial version. And just check them out. You know, use a trial, see what you can find from it, and if you find it worthy for you, give them a try.
Yeah, there's another freemium tool I'll share in the chat. It's called Muckrack. It's who shared my link. And so it shows journalists that shared specific links, and I've used that sometimes to kind of see what journalists are sharing, the type of content that I'm looking for, links for link building purposes. So that's useful.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see. I think we only have time for maybe one or two questions left, and then the rest we will answer on Twitter. So Joe Reed wanted to know, and this is a really good question, when you're doing influencer outreach, do you outreach from your personal agency account or email, or from the client domain account? How does that work?
It matters. You know, sometimes the benefit of working with an agency or working with someone in PR or a consultant is that they already have lots of communication going on already within that field. So say, for me, I have some bloggers that I've worked with for years and years and years, and when I bring on a new client, I will reach out on behalf of that client to the blogger, and that's great. Sometimes I've found that if it's a large enough brand, people will reply to an email directly from the company. So in that scenario, if the company is open to it, I'll ask them for an email account with their domain, right, as an email, or consult and work with someone internally within that company to teach them up on outreach, kind of include them into the overall workflow where I'm helping put together the strategy and everything else and giving them the how-to, and they're the ones sending the email.
Awesome, great. Well, I think we are out of time. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for bearing with us with our technology issues. If you have any more questions, use the hashtag SCJ Thinktank. Join us for our next webinar on September 17th about social media marketing. And thank you.